The Rock finally gets to play Black Adam after waiting for a decade, and I just wish he had a good movie to play him in. Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor here at CinemaBlend, with a spoiler-free review of the new DC film Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a character that he has been developing for a really, really long time and trying to introduce him into the DCEU. Because this movie has been delayed multiple times, we have heard The Rock talking to the press about how the power dynamic in the DC universe is going to shift with the arrival of Black Adam. And he's right to a certain extent, but we also suffer from some of the same problems that the DC movies have been suffering up until this point.
We still have some issues to settle here.
This is going to be spoiler free. We'll probably do a spoiler filled review later on. If you guys want to see that here on the channel, go down to the comments, let us know.
I was wondering if you could put out the feeler.
While you're here, do me a favor, go down and hit subscribe. Turn on your notifications, and every time we drop a new video about DC or Marvel or any of your pop culture needs, you guys will be the first ones to hear about it.
Here we go.
Let's start with the positive, and that would be The Rock as Black Adam. He truly is the right person to play this character. I think that most of this movie stems from the fact that The Rock agreed to play Black Adam, and then they came up with a reason to put him in that kind of movie. And if you paid attention to the development of this project over the years, The Rock was always super involved with this character. He loved the idea of the anti-hero. He loved the idea of sort of shaking up the lineup of the DC universe up until this point and introducing a character who truthfully not a lot of people know. Like, Black Adam is a Shazam villain, and that's why a lot of people also assumed that he would show up in the Shazam franchise.
Yeah, well, not anymore.
But The Rock wanted to do something different with him. But over the years, Black Adam was considered to be a villain in one of the Shazam movies. Then he was going to be part of a Justice Society film that never came to pass. Then they were flirting with the idea of doing a Black Adam and Superman movie, and now it's just a Black Adam origin story. But let's just talk about The Rock as Black Adam. I mean, clearly, Dwayne Johnson in his own personal life looks like a superhero. So you put a costume on him and you drop him into these huge action scenes, and of course he's going to look the part. I mean, he looks like he's birthed out of a comic book movie anyway. But I liked what he did with Black Adam in this sense. Black Adam is very stoic. He's a man of few words. You've seen in some of the trailers where he'll say really intimidating things like,
"I'm not peaceful, nor do I surrender."
Those words come out of The Rock, you 100% believe them. When he has to take on the entire JSA, it's credible. It's not like we are watching, with all due respect, Zachary Levi, who's in a suit with a ton of padding.
I do what I want.
The Rock is, he is Black Adam. And the whole time when I'm watching him, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the start of a really great franchise, because if The Rock wants to play Black Adam for several movies, and if they find ways to interact this character with multiple members of the DC universe, it's going to be great. Unfortunately, this origin story to launch The Rock's status in the DC universe just isn't anywhere near where it should be on his level to what he's bringing to the character. And, you know, I use a character like, let's say, Margot Robbie. She's so perfect as Harley Quinn that she's frequently the best thing in whatever movies that she appears in, whether it be David Ayer's original Suicide Squad or even Kathy Yan's Birds of Prey. You walk away saying like, oh, Margot stole that movie. The Rock steals this movie, and it's understandable. He is Black Adam, but the rest of the stuff around him just doesn't measure up. And it starts with the script, which is something that I want to dive into in our next section. All right, I mentioned that it feels like this movie exists only because The Rock wanted to play Black Adam, and the script is a true reflection of that. It's a mess. The script is a complete mess, and it's really stupid.
Nothing but heartache.
I can't get into specific reasons why it's bad, but it doesn't make any sense at all. Like the motivations for the different characters make no sense whatsoever. The people who free The Rock from his stasis, the reason why they're digging makes no sense. It has to do with the MacGuffin. All these movies have MacGuffins. This one in particular is really ridiculous. And the fact that they would continue to interact with Black Adam over the course of this movie after so much of what he is has been revealed is really dumb. The motivations of the JSA, I get it. Like, they have to sort of respond to the appearance of Black Adam, but what keeps them in the fight is really bad. And they have these two new trainees in Atom Smasher and Cyclone, but the reason why they're part of the team doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. So when they keep showing up in the battle, it's confusing. And again, I'm dancing around spoilers I don't want to get into, but it's disappointing how underused the JSA I felt was in this story. I'm going to get to character development in the next section, but I just want to keep it to the plot. The plot keeps shifting. It shifts multiple times, and there are huge factors, especially early on in the first act, where they introduce some stuff where you're just like, oh, that's going to be really important. And it ends up being not important at all. And then there's a significant character, who isn't really pivotal to the first half of the movie, who then becomes a major factor in the back half of it. And you could almost see like where the rewrites took place, or you could almost see where the stitching occurred, because the whole time you're watching it, you're just scratching your head, wondering like, how are we getting to this point? So instead they try to patch it up with humor, and the humor in it is so bad. It's just like
brunch.
Nothing that was meant to be funny in this movie lands. The jokes feel like they are about 15 to 20 years old.
Maybe even like 30.
This movie needed like an Evanescence theme song playing over the end credits. Like it's straight out of like when Ben Affleck played Daredevil.
Oh God.
Like that's the level of screenwriting that I think we're getting in this movie. Just not good on any level. And part of it I think gets excused because there aren't a lot of fans that are super into Black Adam. They don't really know his mythology. And so they're not going to really be able to nitpick what's wrong. So it allows them to sort of change certain things about the mythology. But there's another really big mistake that they make in the mythology that's part of the marketing campaign that I can talk about later when we get to spoilers. But just know that I was dumbfounded at how silly the script is for this, even by superhero movie standards.
A wise man once told me a bad plan is better than no plan at all.
That was before we had a very bad plan.
I want to focus on character development because it's non-existent in this movie. Outside of Black Adam, who does go through a decent arc, and then that even gets really shortchanged at the end of the movie. There's a point in the movie, which I can't discuss, where something happens to Black Adam, it almost takes him off the board, and then everything that happens from that point on is ridiculous. I'll talk about that with the CGI in a second. But it leads to character development because there are so many new characters that get introduced over the course of this movie. Some of them are super powered, whether they be the members of the JSA, and some of them are human characters who get caught up in the story that the Black Adam is trying to spell out. And you learn so little about both sides that it's almost like there are too many characters and the movie needed to sort of zero down its focus. We learn nothing about the JSA, to the point where you know so very little about their power structure, how they do what they do, or why they're doing what they do, that it legitimately looks like Hawkman is legitimately just Falcon, and Dr. Fate looks like Doctor Strange, and their powers look exactly like. The way that they visualize their powers look exactly like. Atom Smasher looks like Ant-Man when he turns into Giant Man, and then Cyclone looks like Storm from the X-Men. And I hate to sort of generalize and make these comparisons, but you tell me nothing about these JSA characters over the course of the movie, so I don't know how to invest in them. And there are little bits where they want you to sort of believe that like Atom Smasher and Cyclone might be having a romance, but it's not organically developed. It's just sort of, that's part of the script, and so these actors have to make you believe that it's happening. Same thing with Hawkman and Dr. Fate. They're supposed to have like a lengthy relationship that has spanned decades, but I don't feel that from the characters at all. And it's not because of the actors, it's because they just don't have any time to really dig into who they're playing. That goes to additionally Black Adam to a certain extent, because while he does get, like I said, a decent arc, when they try to reach back into his history and tie it into why it's important to right now, it falls flat. It doesn't work. None of that connects because you've rushed too quickly through this nonsensical plot to get to the massive CGI battles, because they think that that's what audiences want. And we do want to see some spectacle in our superhero movies, but it has to make sense. It has to be for characters that we care about. And I didn't care a lick about anyone in this movie not named Black Adam.
Most of the world doesn't share your opinion.
We're gonna end with the CGI, which is really bad. I want to say nice things about this movie. I wanted to go into it liking it. I did. And I do seem to be in the minority. Like the majority of the people who are watching this totally dialed into the special effects and the bombast that comes with this. But it was, to me, overwhelming. Like Black Adam is a unstoppable force. And so you see the heroes over the course of this movie throw everything they have at him. And it's big and it's loud and it's explosive. And The Rock looks terrific while he's doing it. But after a while, they're to me, expensive special effects in service of nothing. And if nothing can hurt this guy, then I didn't buy into any of the threats that could potentially going his way. Like he legitimately catches a missile and the missile explodes in his hand and it does nothing but tatter the cape that he's wearing, right? So I get it. You're trying to establish that he's undefeatable, essentially. But even the CGI at that level felt to me like those early 2000s, like it looks like a cartoon in some instances. Like in some instances when Black Adam is flying alongside certain things, sometimes it looks great and sometimes it looks like a video game cutscene. Like what the fights in this movie of Black Adam versus the JSA reminded me extremely of the video game Injustice, Gods Among Us. I literally felt like I was a spectator watching people playing a video game. Then, as I mentioned, there's a moment in the movie, and you'll know when it is, when Black Adam disappears for a minute, and then he comes back, and everything that happens in the back half of that last third of the movie, the last 30 minutes, is an avalanche of CGI that just pummeled me back into my seat, and I was waving a white flag just waiting for it to be over. Now, you may want to just go see this kind of spectacle and just be happy to see things blow up for 2 hours, because it's a nonstop string of things just blowing up in Dwayne Johnson's face. And if that's what you want to get out of Black Adam, then by all means, you're probably going to love this. But it was too much for me. It was completely overwhelming. There's no story to sink my teeth into. Outside of Dwayne Johnson, I wasn't really impressed with anyone else in the cast or any of the characters that they presented. And so while I very much do want to see more of Black Adam, I want to see him in a better movie because I just didn't think this was it.
Do we have a soups guy?
That means I'm giving it 5 stars, right? Terrific movie. Best thing I've seen this year. No, I'm giving Black Adam 1.5 stars out of 5. And that half star is really just for Dwayne Johnson, who I truly liked in the part. And I think that he's great. And it breaks my heart to say this because I know that this is a very important movie to Dwayne Johnson. And, you know, I'm going to get called a Marvel shill and paid by Marvel and all this jazz. But listen, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I like the DC movies, most of them anyway. And heck, I wrote a book about the Snyder Cut, which is, you know, so glad that Zach got to see his vision realized. Do I think that this could be the restart of the DC universe and head in a different direction? Yeah, of course. They could do that if they want to. They should focus on making better movies.
Does have a point.
And we don't know if The Flash is going to be it because it's been tinkered with so many different times. It might be Aquaman because at least that has the vision of a strong director in James Wan. And DC has to figure out its way forward. But this is yet another misstep in a long line of whiffs by DC. I'm not giving up on them entirely. I could see Black Adam going into some other movie, some other exciting movie, but this one isn't it. So I have a feeling you're mostly going to disagree with me. I have a feeling you're going to have some really nice things to say to me in the comments. I will read them, I promise. If you see Black Adam, tell me what you thought of it. Give me your star rating. I want to hear what you have to say. In the meantime, keep it locked here on CinemaBlend. Hit subscribe, turn on your notifications. We're dropping videos like this all the time, and we want to make sure that you guys get to see every single one of them.